Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. I'm Dylan, and joining me, as always, is Ben, Zach, and Cam.
Hi.
Hi.
This week we're watching Scream, the 1996 horror film. To kick things off and get everybody in the right mood, we're going to go to this week's cocktail, Wake Up and Smell the Fear. I think it comes from mainliquors.com or something. I had to dig for this one. It's hard to do like originals when there's literally nothing to go off of. I mean, like, we could have done beer.
Yeah.
Or corn syrup, I guess. But I'm not going to make a cocktail with corn syrup.
Red corn syrup. Yum.
Yeah, so we deep dived the internet to find this one. Nothing, I know a couple weeks ago we were like, you guys want simpler cocktails? Well, this is it.
This is about as simple as it gets.
The ingredients are literally coffee and Bailey's, the Irish cream, and then one large marshmallow. And if you're feeling really fancy, the thing that ties it to Scream is you paint the marshmallow to look like Ghostface. Like the mask.
Ooh.
And guys, I made this one.
Wow.
Made it this morning, luckily.
I made it too, but I did it a little differently because, let's be honest, coffee and Bailey's got a little basic. So I threw in a couple dashes of some chocolate bitters and a little bit, like a shot or so of bourbon, just to zhuzh it up a little bit. Give it a little kick.
Now.
What, now? We've been doing this podcast for over a year, and now I'm an alcoholic?
It's starting to get to me.
Who has a big marshmallow lying around?
I Randall this one in a good way, I guess. I don't know. I didn't want to buy Bailey's because I'll never use it. I feel like Bailey's is one of those liquors where, like, you either buy it or somebody gives it to you for, like, something one time, and then it just sits over there. You know, what are you going to throw Bailey's in? Coffee, basically. So what I did was...
On my drive into work.
Oh, well, you're listening to Cocktails and Classics?
Absolutely.
Got to get that cocktail portion in there. I tried to judge it up a little bit, and I did an ounce of coffee liqueur, 3 ounces of coffee, and like a bar spoon of simple syrup to sweeten that up a little bit. And then I made some whipped cream, and I put like an ounce of bourbon, like a 1/4 ounce of Kahlua in there, and then put that on top. Thing is, I made the whipped cream way too thick, so it's not like mixing at all, but it's not bad. It makes it a little boozier than the like Ben threw a shot of bourbon in his. You know, it makes it a little boozier, a little more fancy. If you wanted to take the next step up from just Bailey's and
just feels
coffee.
it feels a little warmer, and the chocolate bitters are nice too. It feels a little fancy. Like I bought the coffee at a nice coffee shop and asked for mocha.
Ooh. If you want to make the cocktail, you can check the show notes below. Hit those Drizzly and Casker links. Get you some Bailey's after I shit-talked it. And you can watch Scream on AMC, I think.
Yeah. If you do I think you have to log in with cable to do it.
Okay.
I watched it on
Yeah,
HBO
it's not free. Or you got it.
Well, it's not there
on
anymore.
HBO Max anymore.
Which seems like such a
October 1st.
bad decision. Like, I don't know.
Well,
unless
it's because they want to have people pay for it.
Yep.
Because who cares except for October, you know? Like, but they definitely want to get that money.
I care.
I'm just saying, like, it's obvious.
No,
right?
it is.
Like,
It is a money thing.
It's why you can't watch Elf on a streaming service in December. Like, they're gonna get their money from everybody streaming it every year. They don't want to, people. And I imagine the cost of having it available when those movies are popular is probably very high for those services, and they're like, whatever.
Yeah. Basically, your best bet, like Cameron was saying, Halloween or Christmas, if you have YouTube TV or a cable subscription, it's just going on those specific channels. Like, what's the one? Freeform, is it now? It used to be ABC Family. Freeform, AMC, those ones, and then you can like log in, and they'll have like VODs of every movie.
With YouTube TV, at least, I did it on my phone at first just to check, but on the AMC's website. But on YouTube TV, you can actually just like do video on demand. So I literally just searched Scream, and it was available under AMC, and I was able to just do it there.
But you can check out Scream because we're going to spoil a little bit
A little bit.
or a lot of it.
No, I mean, I think we're gonna spoil.
I feel like I'm gonna spoil a lot of it in the first 5 seconds.
So let me give a quick spoiler. It's got a bit of a whodunit style to it, and let me give you the spoiler for this podcast. We're gonna tell you who done it. We're fully
Like,
gonna
almost
discuss who done it.
instantly.
It becomes a bit of a mindfuck in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Scream is a 1996 self-aware horror film. Pokes fun at the genre and a lot of Hollywood, to be honest. Currently sits at a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Directed by Wes Craven, who also directed Nightmare on Elm Street,
Scream 2, Scream
the other
3,
Scream movies.
Scream 4, Scream 5.
Is he doing Scream 5?
Supposedly, that's what Dylan was saying.
I believe it's him, and the original writer is also coming back to like co-direct.
He did not do
Oh God, not David Arquette again.
at least not that I
They're
can
bringing
see.
back
But
all the original cast.
I mean, he
Scream
did
2022. Yeah. Looks like they have Courtney Cox again, David Arquette,
Nev Campbell.
Nev Campbell.
Oh no, it's different
Other
directors, fully different.
Yeah. I was
Oh
gonna say
really?
it's not
Oh
on
no.
here at all.
Yep. Never mind.
Matt-
It's not Wes Craven.
Matt Bettinelli and Tyler Gillett.
Why? Wonder why. Wes Craven's not dead, right? Never mind. Wes Craven died. Did not know that. He's dead.
Yeah.
Did not know
Cleveland,
that.
Ohio.
Alright.
Shout out to Cleveland. Wes Craven directed. Oh no, he did direct The Hills Have Eyes. He directed The Last House on the Left, People Under the Stairs, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Serpent and the Rainbow, which are all pretty famous horror films.
Serpent in the Rainbow will fuck you up.
That's the one that's like like zombie adjacent, right? It's like voodoo.
Yeah, it's voodoo
I don't know if that's
stuff.
PC to say. I don't know.
Can you not say voodoo anymore?
I feel like it's fine. Just roll with it.
Oh man, that's a
I don't
tough
know.
one.
That's the one
The,
that
the magic where they fuck with the dolls and it affects people.
That's voodoo.
okay, I'm just gonna say it. Written by Kevin Williamson, stars Dev Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Skeet Ulrich, Drew Barrymore's in there
Good old Skeet.
for a minute. Matthew Lillard, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, is it Henry Winkler?
Yes,
Yep.
the
Yeah.
Fonz.
Plays the principal.
That's like such a Henry Winkler role, though. Like
Yeah.
when you see him as the principal, you're like, okay,
I just love that the first time you see him, like he's like this warm, like you think like the kids love him. He's just like, come on in, come on, sit down. Are you doing okay? And then when he's disciplining the two kids, he's like, you little shits.
He snapped on him.
I should expel you right now.
Like I should gut you. I should gut you to show you how funny this is. And it's just like, oh man. They were obviously playing it like maybe he's the killer. But it's just funny to see Henry Winkler be like a maniacal kind of asshole character.
So the story of Scream is a year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of a deadly game. And it really leans into like just the ridiculousness of horror films. The killer is like quizzing people, like when he's threatening them, he's quizzing them about like trivia on the movies, which I mean, Zach, if you
Much appreciated.
I was gonna say, if you wanted to like try and kill us at this trivia game, I might not participate, but
I try, but you guys are always so far away.
Yeah, it is interesting how the movie does do that kind of thing, and then also there are many spots where they directly call out like tropes. They're like, yeah, why would you like, yeah, I hate horror movies because, like the woman always runs up the stairs when really she should just run out the front door, and then she does that exact
Runs
thing
up the stairs,
5 minutes
yeah.
later. Yeah. And there's another spot I think where that happens.
there's that. Jamie Kennedy's whole character is like,
that's
like
so
it's
funny.
obviously the boyfriend because
Fucking Randy.
Yeah. It's funny because obviously because like when we're watching him on camera and he's watching Halloween, he's like, Jamie, look behind you. Jamie, look behind you. And like
The irony
That-
that his
right.
the actor's
Yeah, that
name
part-
is Jamie.
I didn't know.
I think that's intentional.
okay, I was
yeah,
gonna say I
no,
didn't know
it's just
how meta
hilarious.
they were getting in the whole bit,
Yeah.
but that's
Super
like
meta for
yeah.
sure. That's probably the most meta one because he's calling the actress on the screen by her first name, which is Jamie, of course, and then
and he is also
and his actor's name, his name is Jamie in real life.
And I love the
Yeah,
use of Halloween in that whole
all throughout
party
the movie.
scene. Yeah, like like you're hearing the movie when
They just straight up used the music from the movie as the score for Scream for like 40 minutes.
yeah.
What a beautiful ripoff.
I mean, it's better than the original score. I thought the score they started with was utter dog shit. I was like, this is bad. I don't know why.
Which one?
I don't know, just like in the beginning of the movie, like near the beginning of the movie, maybe they were doing something intentional there, but I just thought it was real bad. Like, it just felt so old to me. I don't know.
I hope you're not referencing the soundtrack because I thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack.
Oh, I think I am referencing the soundtrack.
Because
so, yeah.
at the very beginning, there's like a "Don't Fear the Reaper" cover when Billy first climbs in the window. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know if it's that.
And then
but...
later on, there's multiple uses, like before the party, of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds' "Red Right Hand," which if you've ever watched Peaky Blinders, it's like the theme song to Peaky Blinders.
Oh, yeah. Mona the entire time was like, "That's that's from Peaky Blinders." I was like, "It's actually from this," but
Well, it's actually a song, but then
just saying,
they
like,
used
if
it.
anything, they used it from this.
Yes.
No, that was fine. Maybe there was just a beginning one where I don't remember exactly what it was, but in the I feel like it was in the opening part with Drew Barrymore. Maybe, I don't know. It just felt like I was put off. I remember being put off by that, but then later the other soundtrack was fine. Like that song was fine, and I don't know. I guess it was just that opening section.
Speaking of Drew Barrymore, can we talk about how fucking genius this ad campaign was? They sold people for months that like Drew Barrymore's name was on the poster as like a headliner. Like
She was the main character.
she's going to be the main character. She's going to be the scream queen in this movie. That. And then it's like in the first 5 minutes, she dies. And you're just like, wait, what?
Killed
Like,
off.
and watching it this much later, could you imagine, like, it being 96 and you're like, dude, we're going to go see this movie, and you're watching it and you're like, wait, what? She just fucking died? We're 5 minutes into this movie. What the hell? What?
I feel like that's kind of like, it feels kind of very similar to watching like Game of Thrones, I would imagine, for the first time. Where you're like, oh, this Ned Stark guy is pretty cool. And then he dies, but you're like, no, there's no way he can die. He's like the main character. We've been watching him this entire season. Head rolls off the block. All right, I guess he's dead. I guess we're not watching him forever.
Which, like, Drew Barrymore's scene, I feel like is partly the most memorable bit of this movie.
I think so. I think the
phone
whole
calls,
intro.
Like, do you like scary movies? Like that whole bit, I think, is probably the most iconic bit of this movie.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the thing that gets scary right away is like it's a wrong call. Ha ha ha. Oh, and the voice is kind of flirty and this and that. And then all of a sudden it just goes to like, don't you fucking hang up. And it's like, whoa, shit.
Snaps.
This just got real. This got intense real quick. And then
it's super like fudged up when like she's getting away at one part, and then like you see her parents walk in the door,
Her
and
parents are there?
she can't scream. He grabs her and like
in,
stabs her
the
right
frickin'
there,
vocal
and you're like,
cord.
no.
When he just slowly like stabs her vocal cord so she can't scream or make any noise. Oh my god, yeah, that was fucked up.
Why? My question is, why did they kill her and her boyfriend?
I think that's one of the meta things they did in horror movies is they would try to find like horror movies are like, let's try to find an attractive actress and we're going to make it sort of like there might be a sex scene, there might be like a nude scene with this woman, and that's why you got to go see it, and also we're going to slash her up and kill her. And Drew Barrymore's like, fuck it, I'll show up, do this movie, get killed off in the first 5 minutes, and it's completely different.
No, that I
Cameron's
get. No,
talking
I'm
about the
referring to the
in-movie,
actual
like-
murders.
Like why them?
yeah.
I think just because
I
they're
think they-
psychopaths.
Oh, no, they
Like,
kind
well,
of
sure,
just...
but they-
No, they kind of discuss it. So, okay. At this point, we're going to talk about who the killer is. So, if you haven't seen the movie
it, I think it's
and
over
you
now.
don't want to know, we haven't really
Movie's going
given
on
away
20 years
who it
old.
is. So,
Pause.
It's the
Watch the movie and
pause,
come
go
back.
watch
It's
the movie and
friends.
come back. So, when they're sitting there, obviously, you find out the killers are Billy and... What the hell is Matt Lillard's character's name in this? I can't remember.
The guy at
Good old
Comerica
Matt
Park.
Lillard.
I don't know.
I'm getting woozy here. I'm getting woozy.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Stewart.
Stuart.
So
Stuart.
when they're literally Randy and Stuart are sitting there talking about who they think the killer is, and Randy literally looks at him and goes, "Well, didn't you two used to date?" And he's like,
Oh yeah,
for
I did
like
forget
a
about that
for like a
part.
hot minute." And he's like, "Yeah, didn't she dump you to go out with the football player?" And he's like, "What? No, I don't." So I'm wondering if it was like
that's
jealousy
true.
thing.
I did forget about that part.
And then they were like, "Oh, who?" I mean, because like you got to think they're obviously it's not their first killing. Their first killing is, again, spoiler, Sidney's mom.
You guys are
The
looking
year
too
prior.
far into it because freaking Jamie Kennedy's character literally says motives are so like diatribe, and it's the new millennium. Motives are so
Yeah, but I
diatribe
mean,
or something along those lines.
Realistically, like
They go
just
against
think,
a lot of what they.
Yeah, I do think though
say.
that this was like obviously kind of a revenge thing, and they probably just figured they could pick some, and they probably knew she wasn't going to be home by herself.
Yeah, they had a
I mean-
motive. I mean, they go through and talk about how they don't have motives at the end. But in the ending scene, he comes out
But
and
he
says,
does say
like,
it. Yeah, I know.
Your mom was sleeping with my dad, and you ruined my family.
Yeah,
Right after his Norman Bates speech about how it's scarier if they don't have a motive.
Which that one's just an Oedipus complex, right? So is that motive?
Yeah.
It was motive for Oedipus.
I just want to say that I knew Matthew Lillard cannot be trusted. All right.
After
I knew
meeting him
it.
in real life,
He cannot.
if
no.
you're listening
Okay.
to this,
Here's the thing.
we saw you at
Yes,
Comerica.
Exactly.
Someone went up
Somebody
and just
walked up to
asked
him.
and was like, "Excuse me, but are you Matthew Lillard?" And then you said, "No, I get that all the time, but that's not me." And then 20 minutes later, you fucking tweeted that you were at the game.
Yep.
Dick move, dude. We
Yeah.
weren't gonna like swarm you. We just wanted to know if it was in fact you.
Right.
And you lied.
Exactly. Which
To
is
your
why
fans.
I did not trust him from the get. All right, dude.
that's why I
lies.
hate every movie he's in.
Well, no, but
Hackers,
No, honestly,
Without
I
a
will
Paddle.
say, Matthew Lillard, underrated as an actor. I'll say it.
dude. I'll say the converse. I thought he was awful in this movie. I thought he was weird and like super over the top. He did weird things with his tongue. Like what
Have you
the
ever
fuck?
watched Justified?
I mean, I'm not saying he's not good in other movies. I haven't seen that, but I just
No,
thought
I'm
in
saying
this movie he
overall,
wasn't good.
as an actor, he is
Uh-huh.
underrated.
I see.
you
He's
seen-
one of
I
those
thought he
guys
did
that,
not
like,
do.
is a
I
great
thought
character actor, underrated.
You should watch Twin Peaks: The Return. He does a really good job in that one too.
I've heard he does a lot of good things in a lot of stuff he's in.
I just thought
does.
across the
I
board
just-
in this movie, the acting was like very mediocre. Which I'm not saying like you're not looking at this as like something that you want.
I
or
wonder-
need to have great
think
acting.
that's-
I
in, but-
wonder
part of
how
it.
much is
think so?
on purpose because it's supposed to be a trope on the fact that horror movies genuinely don't have good acting in them.
I suppose I don't know.
Because
I
look
could
at
see
even like
that.
Courtney Cox. Like Courtney Cox's character was just kind of over the top at times. And I
Same
just
with
think
Dewey.
that's- Yeah,
Dewey.
Like his whole character
I
is
kind of
just
think that was.
dumb.
I kind of think that was done on purpose. I don't know if it actually was, but I could completely see them just being like, "Look, don't feel like you have to try to win an Oscar here. Like, don't."
I
be
guess
good.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't consider that. I could see that, but it's
Just
hard
the
to tell.
way, just
To
the
me,
way that they
it's-
did everything else with this movie to make it like a whole play on horror movies, and the fact that most horror movies, the acting is absolute dog shit. Looking at you, Birdemic.
Well, okay, that's. I don't think that's because that's a.
that's not the gold standard that we should be looking towards when
No,
comparing
that was
movies.
just-
but
That was
I'd
just,
even say
that
movies
was just a
like
joke.
I don't know. Yeah, we obviously horror movies are not known for their acting chops.
but you also don't want to like I don't know. At the same time, it's
thing
like
is
how
I
far
could-
do you
I
think
couldn't
they
tell.
actually went
Yeah.
with that? You
I
know?
couldn't tell if they were doing that intentionally or not. So like I feel like if I can't tell if they're doing this unintentionally or not, then it's kind of
But
I don't know.
I don't like it's a weird line. Like obviously it's not like Scary Movie, basically
Right,
parodies
exactly.
this exact movie.
Yeah.
Which how at one which
Yeah, that's always been wild.
that's obviously like the acting's not going to be great, and they really lean into that like that like campy acting
Yeah.
cheesiness, but like this one is like also going for that like satire like meta approach, but you also want it to be taken seriously because it is also a serious horror film in a sense. They are joking about it. It's like Cabin in the Woods. If you guys have seen that movie, that is
Yeah.
also a play and a critique, but it's at the same time you want it to be taken
Yeah,
seriously.
but the acting wasn't bad in that movie. I don't think, from what I
the
remember.
stoner guy was pretty.
I don't.
good.
Well, okay. I'm not
He was
saying it was
Whips out that
awesome,
fucking
but-
like bong.
The fucking giant coffee cup turns into a bong. Yeah,
That movie's a trip, by the way.
I like that movie. That's a
That guy
that's
was
a good
just
one.
Taco from The League.
yeah.
It's like if you're being critical and it kind of satirical while also trying to be a serious movie, so it's like you also have to actually bring good acting, quality, writing, dialogue. Like if that all has to still be there, so it's like for it to not be the greatest acting, I think would just really be like forgetful. It'd be like Scary Movie more so. So I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint whether that's intentional or unintentional.
Can we talk about one plot point of the movie that, when the movie came out, was really impactful, but I think as time goes on, Billy dropping his cell phone, huge deal when the movie came out.
Oh yeah.
Even now, or even 10 years from now, everybody's going to look at that scene like, who cares? His cell phone fell out of his pocket. What's the big deal?
Why do you have a cell phone?
Exactly.
Everybody's got them now.
Kids didn't have them.
I mean, we were 2 in '96, but I'm like, were cell phones really that big? That Billy's like, everybody's got cell phones now.
I didn't know that they were that small. I thought they were still big ass,
big
brick looking things.
Well, you got to pull out the antenna.
Yeah.
That was more in the 80s, I think. And not many people had those, but I think
I remember being a
I don't
kid
know.
and everyone having like the cell phones that
definitely
did
was a
look like that.
thing near the end of the 90s that
But-
a lot of people had them,
Yeah, but I don't.
and early
I think
2000s.
a lot of people had them, but not a lot of. I feel like not a lot of teenagers had them.
No, I think a
No.
lot of teenagers getting them was like around near us, more so.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a teenager, it was like, I mean,
Not
kids
everyone
definitely,
had
people
one.
had them, but yeah, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
have one until
Like
I think like
14 or
8th
something.
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was even just a little like flip phone that didn't do
Yep.
anything.
It was just to make calls so you could get picked up from whatever after school
After school
activity.
activity. Yep.
Basketball practice.
Now we got Instagram for kids. Woo!
Well, they paused development on that.
Oh, it'll be back,
but,
baby.
That's a good
Oh. Well, so the iPhone itself came out in 2007. So, like, if that gives you a frame of reference, that's the first smartphone, you know? Like, so if you, it's not inconceivable to think 10 years prior to that,
People
a fair
just
amount
had
of people
like
had said, like, cell phones.
I don't know. We have this discussion all the time, but I'm like my timeline of like cell phones and that is like so wonky because I feel like
It's
the 90s
also
people were
just-
still using pagers. Is that right though?
I mean, yeah, yes.
But like
I mean, if it,
Depends on when you're talking about in the 90s, but like I feel like
all right,
yes.
so if it puts it in perspective, it looks like, let's see, the Razor came out in 2004.
Okay.
Yes, the Razor V3 came out in 2004. And that was like, you know, peak. That was like peak flip phone, you know. So
that's
like
right about the time Soulja Boy and Walk It Out was really coming and getting big,
walk
right?
it out. So yeah, I mean, if you think about it like that, and then the iPhone came out 3 years later, you know, like
No, I was completely wrong. Crank That
What?
came out in 07.
Wait.
So right about the time of the iPhone. Did Soulja Boy create the iPhone?
he created a mobile gaming device that ripped off other things. It's just a rebranded Alibaba thing, and it's
have
like
one
10
more for
times
you.
more expensive. All right.
Something that even like today is wild to not have caller ID. Why
Yeah,
weren't
that's
people
true.
checking the phone number? Like as it calls in.
There was something on the phone.
Well,
Like
So what's crazy
like
to
after
me?
they
Well,
have
so
sex,
they said
there's like a little switch that says something about caller ID, and I don't know.
Oh,
So there's
really?
What
one thing that was
interesting.
weird to me, right? Is they ran Billy's cell phone records. Why didn't they run the phone records at the victims' houses to see who had called them? Why did the cops
They
not
did
do it?
later.
Yeah.
They
Great
did
idea.
later,
Well,
and it went
yeah.
back to. I mean,
But why
I
the
know.
fuck was that not step one?
I don't know. Yeah,
I feel
that
like
seems,
back then, like I was sitting there watching.
Well,
I was sitting
I
there
will
thinking this
say,
when Dewey was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we're on it." I was just thinking back in the '90s when somebody wanted to cross-reference those, it's probably a dude sitting there with 2 stacks of stapled
Yeah.
paper, and he's going, "Nope, nope," from left to right. Nope, not that
Yep.
one. Nope, not that one.
the other thing too is
Highlighter, black Sharpie.
until what's her face was attacked and said I got phone calls. They probably didn't know about the phone
Yeah,
calls
that's true.
because like both the
No.
the person who got the phone call originally died.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, maybe. Well, but she had the phone with her, like near her. Well,
yeah,
I don't
mean,
know.
you could potentially say like maybe this is relevant, but it also may not have been.
Interesting fact here, Zach, that we were talking about the caller ID. Scream led to tripling of caller ID use.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow, people got real concerned after
copycat.
Scream,
They were
huh?
worried about
That's the
copycat.
horror movie
interesting.
that did it for you.
This says that Wes Craven paid so much attention that many of the cast members in the movie wear black boots because there's the one scene where the boots drop. So then you can't suspect, like, you would suspect
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, but didn't they
Oh,
make
I've got one for you while we're talking
Didn't
about
they try to
feet.
make it out that that wasn't the
my
actual
God.
killer? That was just like a prank. You're talking about in the high school
Yeah,
bathroom?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they played that off that was supposed to be like a prank.
Well, but it may not have been.
There's a deleted scene where Sydney, she runs out of the bathroom, runs to Henry Winkler's office, and tells him that this person scared her in the bathroom, and that immediately leads into him dismissing class for the day. So I mean, cut from the movie, but I think it's supposed to be a prankster.
Wasn't there another scene too where they were supposed to or there was supposed to be more of him having the mask? Like, I feel like I'd heard something about there was supposed to be more about Henry Winkler, like, to lead you to think he was the killer until he gets got.
I mean, they sort of set up everybody at least
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit, right? Even
Yeah.
Dewey when he answers the door. Dewey's got the mask.
Yeah.
To be honest, I kind of thought maybe, like, seriously, it would have been him for a while. Was it him in Scary Movie? Was it his equivalent version of his character? I feel like it was,
Officer
right?
Yeah.
Goofy.
Wasn't it him? Wasn't he the guy that was killing people?
Yes.
I don't
Yes,
remember.
because at the end,
I don't remember
he
either.
pulls like the Kaiser Soze, where he rips off his mustache, and he's actually really smart the
Yeah.
whole time.
David Arquette
Okay,
says
so
people
maybe
still call
that's
him
why-
Doofy to this day.
Maybe that's
because of
why
that
I
one.
thought
He was the killer.
he was the killer, because I think he is the killer in Scary
Okay,
Movie.
Cameron. So I have to ask, having not seen this, did you know going into it that who the killer was?
No.
Did it shock you at all?
I think yes. I think having both of them be involved was more shocking than I think like the boyfriend being involved at all.
Yeah, 2 people.
Because
Yeah.
I think
Because
People
I
went to the left
I
field.
didn't know.
I had it on, and my wife sat down and she was trying to figure it out. She's like, "Well, it can't be the boyfriend because he just got stabbed, so like it's obviously not him." And then at the end, you see him like stumble down the stairs. And
Really selling that bit, you know?
Oh yeah. I thought it was when I first saw this, I thought it was the dad. I was convinced it was the dad the whole time.
Well, that's what they want you to think.
That's how they
Yeah,
get
when
you.
he goes,
So if you're
when he goes missing.
just as a callback, if you're wondering, Doofy was the killer in the original Scary Movie. So
yeah, like I said, I
looked it
remember.
up.
I remember him doing the whole Kaiser Soze thing where like he grabs the mug or something, drinks out of it, and then like takes off the fake mustache.
Let's see. Yeah.
And walks
So,
out. And then he
this
gets
says
in a car
Doofy
and
is-
drives off.
Says Doofy is later seen departing town after helping Gail stage her death. His mental disability is insinuated to be fake as he walks away with his shambling manner and then transitions into walking normally, ripping off his fake mustache and the top of his cop uniform before lighting a cigarette and hopping into a car with Gail and throwing his fake backpack out of the car.
His fake backpack. It's a real backpack.
I mean, they're probably just.
It's just not his.
Right.
It's just
he
not.
wears it under false pretenses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, so maybe that's why I thought, but yeah, I had no idea who it was. And yeah, I think that the two makes it, because when the boyfriend shot Jamie Kennedy's character, whatever his name is, I was like, oh,
Randy.
he did it? How is that
Randy.
possible? And then it was
no.
it's the two of them. Okay, I guess that makes more sense.
It's kind of wild to me that Wes Craven was ready to parody like his genre, given that this movie came out like, I don't know, 6-7 years after Nightmare on Elm Street, or after the Nightmare on Elm Street run of movies.
Well, even by the
I guess everybody was making fun of it by the second.
I was gonna say,
but
even by the third or fourth Nightmare on Elm Street, they're parodying themselves because, like, I think it's a new Nightmare. Like, Freddy Krueger's literally on television, like, giving interviews.
Even
in that movie,
even
like,
in this movie, though,
he's like the star.
Even in this movie, Drew Barrymore's character
The janitor?
says Drew Barrymore's character says says something about the favorite movie, and then the guy's like, "Well, I'm partial to Nightmare on Elm Street." Oh, that's the one with Jason, right? Yeah, the first one was really good, but the second one sucked. Just like straight up calls it out. But yes, I also did like that Wes Craven was Fred the janitor at the high school.
And he's dressed up as Freddy
hilarious.
Krueger.
Looks just like Freddy Krueger.
Which I thought that bit was like, that was like something Scary Movie would do. And I was like, huh, okay.
Yeah, that's a bit
little
of
There's
weird.
a couple things, like, if you guys notice when Henry Winkler is in his office and he's like combing his hair, he opens his like locker, leather jacket. It's straight up a Happy Days reference.
Oh, that's funny.
We're gonna hit up some ads, come back, and you know we love saving the turts. You know Cam hates fucking paper straws.
Paper straw song. I will say that paper straw technology has improved since I last shat on paper straws. I have used a couple since I've been able to go out more recently due to being vaccinated, and
That's what they were doing the whole time while we were inside. They were just inventing better paper straws.
I have seen also not paper straws, but it seems like they're compostable plastic straws or something. Like
You're talking about the
like,
ones that are made out of like agave or whatever.
I have no idea what the composition of these straws are. I'm just, but they are different.
I'm not
than
a
the
straw
normal ones you
expert.
see. But you're the expert, Dylan.
But I do know a good glass straw when I see one, you know?
Yes. I will say for being at home and where you know, maybe you like straws in your fruity margaritas, or you like straws to mix with your, you know, old fashions or whatever. You know, having these straws around the home is really nice. No, not constantly like throwing things away, or you don't have to keep buying straws all the time. Like you just buy a couple and then you're good.
And if you want cocktail picks or muddlers, they have that too. There's many colors. He's getting into like designs. So like the pride flag, he puts it on like the side of the straw. He's got hearts. He's got critters. It's like you get a piece of art along with a straw. Little multi-use.
Oh yeah, he has critter straws, which have see a dolphin, a salamander. That salamander looks intricate. That is impressive.
Grab some glass straws from Surfside Sips. Use promo code cocktails and classics spelled out for 20% off. We get a little kickback from that, and you get to save some money on some glass straws, and they should last you a long time. Dishwasher safe. They're pretty sturdy. Just don't drop them on the floor like me, like a big idiot. You have to buy more. This is part of the show. Zach takes over. Takes us through a trivia quiz. Zach, what do you got for us on Scream?
Question number 1. Opening scene when Drew Barrymore gets killed. It's kind of heartbreaking that her parents pull up down the driveway, but her father tells her mother to go call what family? A, the Mackenzies, B, the Smiths, or C, the Campbells?
I think it was the Campbells.
The soup company?
I'm gonna say Campbell's.
Go ahead, Ben.
Why, do you know it?
He thinks he does.
I do.
You do? So you're also gonna say the Mackenzies?
I am gonna also say the Mackenzies.
Yeah.
Yes. Another reference to Halloween. That is where Jamie Lee Curtis tells the kids, "Run down to the Mackenzies."
Oh, okay.
Yep. One more.
I remember it ended in EY or something like that.
So, question number 2. The killer's costume is commonly known as Ghostface, but what is the actual name of the costume? Is it A, Slasher Ghost, B, Father Death, or C, Scary Ghost?
Scary Ghost. What was the other one? Slasher Ghost?
Slasher Ghost, Father Death, or Scary Ghost?
I also think I know this one.
Fuck you, Dylan.
Does everyone think they know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So you should go first.
I don't know about that one. Why
No?
don't you guys go, and then I'll.
What if you guys
I
all
am in
just
last
text me your
place,
answer?
so I'm
Is
going
it-
to wait.
Is it not Slasher Ghost? I thought it was Slasher Ghost.
So Ben's choosing Slasher Ghost. Dylan, what do you think?
I think it's Father Death.
I am like 90% certain it's Father Death.
It is Father Death. One
Yeah,
of these
nice.
is not like the other, and you can see it when Doofy holds
Yep.
up the
Yeah.
Doofy.
The
Dewey?
costume. Yeah. All right, so Dylan has got a lead. Cameron's in the game. Question number 3. I forgot I wrote this one.
Oh no.
Ghostface's costume was originally supposed to be all white, making him look even more ghost-like. But that idea was scrapped for what reason? A. White stained too early and would have been costly during production. B. All white wasn't scary enough from their oh my god,
Test
what do you
audience
call
or
that?
something?
Yeah, testing audience.
God
Or
damn
C. People feared Ghostface might be in the KKK.
Yep, I figured it was gonna end there.
That's
We all
the
knew
one
where
I
this
was
was
thinking.
going.
Dude, oh man. I mean, oh my god. It would be
I feel like it
I
has
wanna
to
say
be
the
C, hopefully.
I feel like the KKK one makes the most logical sense, but
I feel like I want it to be C.
I want
just because it's stupid. It's like, why would you put white robes on somebody? But I want to say it's probably A or B. I'll say A. That it was just, like, there's so much blood in the movie, it would just got stained all the time. But it had to have like a bajillion Ghostface costumes.
That's probably pretty reasonable, but I don't know. I feel like I do want to say B. C is funny, but I do think it's yeah, because like white's not that scary, you know? Like what villains are white? I don't know. Like, sorry, let me rephrase that. What villains
of
are
them,
dressed
Cameron.
in all
Most of
white?
them.
All of the ones in real life.
Almost
Yes.
all of them.
Yes. What villains are dressed in white? Bad phrasing on my part. That's my bad.
No. They all are. Everybody except Candyman.
Oh. God.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, we don't know.
Michael Myers, white. Jason Voorhees,
I-
white. Freddy Krueger, brown, but started white.
He's just burnt.
Tanned
Just
tinged
burnt.
to a golden crisp.
It's a broiler joke.
God. All right. Ben, what do you think?
I also think the white just wasn't scary enough. Most of this movie takes place where you want like a killer like skulking around in the shadows, and I feel like a just giant white does not work well.
Was
with
the
that.
3M reflective
So-
shit? It's just
Yeah.
could see him across the street. Fuck.
Now that would actually though look kind of fucking terrifying though, wouldn't it? Like if it's just fucking glowing,
Just an angel with a knife.
the angel of death.
So I got an A and 2 Bs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it just wasn't scary enough.
I'll have you guys know, when Bob Weinstein first saw the serial killer in his movie, he immediately thought, we can't have this all-white costume. People are going to think he's in the KKK.
The answer's really C.
The answer
Wow.
is really C. Bob Weinstein, shut it down.
I'm proud of them.
He's not Harvey.
Way
I don't
to
know
make
if
one
he did
good
anything.
choice.
I don't know if he's done anything, but he's not
You're
Harvey.
gonna tell me you don't know what your brother does in his spare time?
that's a good point. He probably was an enabler at
with your
minimum.
employees.
As a co-worker,
Yeah,
You have to know your brother's a creep, right?
probably.
Dylan comes away with the win.
nice.
Congrats, Dylan.
Ooh. Everybody hated that.
Everybody loved that. I think everyone have seen this movie besides Cam. So Cam will give us that
Yep.
hot, fresh, spicy rating.
That virgin rating we know will survive till the end.
It will survive until going first, I guess. And then we'll give you
Yeah.
a nostalgia rating and then an update after we just viewed it again.
Yeah, so I think I really did appreciate the meta-ness of this movie. It wasn't just another like scary movie. It was self-aware of what it was, and intentionally so. It was obviously, at least to it seemed like a satire, as well as being a scary movie. It was also a satire on scary movies. That said, there were. I didn't think it was that good of a movie. Like, it was very fine to me. Like, the acting wasn't great. It did spawn a lot. Like, this was like a culture shifter type movie, in my opinion. But especially like, viewed today, I don't know. I thought it was very okay. So I gave it a 5 out of 10. I thought it was fine. I'm not going to watch the sequels, but like, it's all right.
I'll go next. I love this movie. I love horror movies, and I love that this movie touches on all of them. All of the just little references, even, we covered a lot of it, but even things where Billy's like, oh, corn syrup, that's what they used for pig's blood in Carrie. This stuff cracks me up, but it's also a fun throwback to like a genre of movies that I really enjoy. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. In terms of like slasher movies, it's Halloween, and then Scream, and then kind of the rest of them.
Octobers on the podcast are interesting for me because I'm not a huge scary movie fan. Just not really my thing.
Cup of tea?
I think this movie is a very good, like, if I had to tell someone that was like, I want to kind of get into horror movies, I feel like this is where I would send them, just to kind of like, it's an intro movie because it's a slasher flick, but it's not overly scary. There's not a ton of like really like frightening stuff. It's got a bit of levity to it. I really enjoy it. It's probably up there as one of my favorite scary movies as well. I give it a 7. I had it at a 7, like, just because I'm not a huge horror movie fan, but I enjoyed this movie, and after seeing it this time around, I'm kind of intrigued and I might check out some of the sequels. I've heard good things about the second one, and then much like most horror movies tend to do, I've heard they kind of trail off from there, but I might give the second one a watch and see what happens.
It's been a minute since I've seen this movie. Going in, I probably had it at like a 6. I don't know. I didn't remember it too fondly, but after watching it, I forgot how good this movie was. We talked a little bit about the soundtrack, and I really enjoyed that bit of the movie. I love the meta kind of satire of horror movies, but as much of a satire of it as it is also like a love letter to horror. The writers and Wes, or I guess the writer and Wes, did their research. There's so many references to just movies and just Hollywood in general. There's the whole Richard Gere gerbil bit that's just a quick line of dialogue in the movie. I was like, oh, okay. And Tori Spelling. It's, I don't know. Ben was like, I do this as like an intro, or like somebody who doesn't really like horror movies. It is a bit like bloody and gory because it is a slasher, obviously. But I would recommend this, especially if you don't like horror movies, because then you can kind of get behind like some of the like jokes that are there, some of the humor that is underlying in all of the horror elements. It's just solid. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot more this time than I remembered, and I'm gonna leave it with an 8 out of 10.
Also shocked we didn't mention that it's the 25th anniversary this year for this movie.
I feel like they were trying to get the the new one out for that, but
I think they were, but
COVID kind of
COVID. Yeah.
COVIDed it up. COVIDed it up.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's an official release date, but the rumors I saw online was January 14th for the new Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
the
that
original
is
Scream came out like the 21st or the 20th of December. They released it during the holidays, like during Christmas, which was kind of funny.
super weird. Yeah, I'm surprised. I know everyone's kind of like super hyped for this month of movies because it's like we have No Time to Die, we have Dune, we have The Last Duel, we have French Dispatch, we have The Last Night in Soho, which I guess is kind of a horror movie. It's horror adjacent, but there's not many horror movies coming out this October, which is kind of sad because I feel like I usually like this is the prime time to go like watch them and get scared.
I wonder how much of that is also though COVID related. Or like
Probably.
just because you got to think. I don't know, Dylan. You could probably speak to this better than I can. But I feel like a lot of horror movies are kind of churn and burn. Like you get the script, you get them knocked out, you get them ready to go for October. You know, there's not a ton that really goes into it. I mean, a lot of them are kind of formulaic and stuff, but every once in a while, I know you've got like the really good ones that break the mold, but
they're not really expensive or like
yeah,
hard to make in
yeah.
a sense because it's like there's really great special effects people out there who like they just were really into horror movies and they can like do all these like blood and gush and like
Yeah.
death effects. So it's like they're not hard or expensive to make in a sense. Like getting good scares is hard because you have to actually like
Yeah.
pace and direct and do all that stuff. But I think just like usually Oscars start to release around like October, November, December, and I think everyone just pushed all their movies back
Yep,
to this year
so that they're fresh in the mind.
So then it's like they also, I
Yeah.
think Dune, French Dispatch, and Last Night in Soho were all supposed to drop the same weekend, and they all had to like reshuffle because they didn't want to all compete against one another. So we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out at the beginning of the year as far as like horror and that sort of stuff. I think like January, February is probably where we're going to get things. If you enjoy this, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Check the show notes. Get those Drizzly and Casker links. Get you some Baileys. Drink it from a shoe. Or have it in a Wake Up and Smell the Fear. You can watch Scream on AMC, I think, or you can rent it. You know, it's Halloween. Have a little spooky watch night. And check us out next week as we watch What We Do in the Shadows, the New Zealand horror comedy. And as always, watch responsibly.